Plato's allegory of the cave simply breaks down the stages of enlightenment. Plato describes a cave that is illuminated by two sources: the opening that allows a small amount of light to shine in and a big fire at the top. Below the fire is a platform where puppeteers cast shadows on the wall ahead of them. There are prisoners who have been there since birth, watching the shadows. The prisoners cannot leave and cannot move to look away. They can only see the shadows. They describe what they believe the shadows to be all day, every day. One day, a prisoner is released and forced to look at his situation. He sees the fire and the puppeteers casting the shadows. He realizes the shadows were never real. He is dazed. He is confused as all he's known has been the shadows. The prisoner then exits the cave and is blinded by the sunlight. It takes him a while, but he is able to adjust to see everything in its pure form. He realizes once more what he sees is the truth, and he loves every second of it. After spending time in truth, he wants to go back to his old habitat and to enlighten his brothers. However, because he is so accustomed to the light, he is not used to the dark anymore. He is ridiculed by his brothers. Yet, it is his duty to enlighten his brothers still. A common application of Plato's cave in today's society can be seen with youth and drugs. The shadows would be how drugs are portrayed in the media. The puppeteers then would be media figures like rappers and internet personalities. Now the kids who have only seen the drugs being used by their favorite rappers, celebrities, and or media influencers like YouTubers will only assume that the drugs aren't really that big of a deal. They will want to participate in the drugs, and many nowadays do fall victim to drug use. There are many youths who take part in small substance abuse like weed and drinking because, as far as they're concerned, their peers are already doing it. And even when they did try it the first few times, nothing major happened. So they therefore think that there's no real issue with taking certain drugs, as long as they stay away from the hard, explicit drugs. Using Plato's allegory of the cave, this is the part where one prisoner is then shown his situation. He's able to truly see what he's been cultivated in. In our example, a youth is now shown by a trusted guardian the true extent of how drugs can affect the mind and body. This confuses them at first, as they're so used to relying on drugs for a quick dopamine rush or just as an escape from the current situation. They used to rely on the drug, as they quite literally need it. Without the drug, they are confused and lost in the world, not knowing their place. Yet as the prisoner ascended and was blinded by the light, this youth now is able to truly understand the joy of living life without the use of explicit drugs, or any drugs of that matter. This youth is able to see the full extent of drugs, whether it be passerbys who will also have taken in the drugs, some that are fully functional, and some that can hardly function at all. Either way, now being in the light of the sun, they are able to tell that their old situation was much worse. No longer are they controlled by their vices, as they have now realized they were truly addicted to substances. Their minds are no longer clouded by the darkness or ignorance that they once lived in. With counseling and maturity, they are now able to enjoy life with a peaceful state of mind. Plato's prisoner from the cave believed it was better to be a poor servant from a poor master than to live in his old habitat, and our youth would think so too. Although you no longer experience the indescribable feeling you used to get from taking the drugs, you no longer have to worry about the negative repercussions to your mental and physical health. And so too, as the prisoner went back to the cave to enlighten his brothers, you now try to console your friends on their drug use. The prisoner's eyes wasn't accustomed to the darkness after being in the light for so long. And you, who have known the truth of being sober, no longer can justify your friend's reasoning for taking drugs. The prisoner was mocked, as his eyes couldn't see the shadows as good as the prisoners who never left. He was told that he was less than his brothers because he had spent too much time in the light. Now he has gone blind. The prisoners that never left now threaten the prisoner who has seen the light with death if he returns to the cave. But even after being faced with the challenge of death, the prisoner that left the cave knows it is his duty to enlighten his brother, as what they see is not the truth. In parallel, Your friends mock you. They say that you've changed. You're no longer the same person. And whether it be out of envy or their continuous ignorance, you know that you're now being ostracized by the same people you once were close with. Yet you cannot give up on your friends. Even if they no longer accept you, you know the life they are going down leads to more hardship in the long term.